Uh-oh. Oh, no. Deegan just took out Beaumer. Oh, Juju, Deegan back to back. Yeah, so we have an amazing 250 rivalry happening right now. Deegan versus Juju. Yeah, we got it like firsthand in the qualifying session, in the heat race especially, and in the main event. Maybe not as much in the main event, but in the start of the main event, we kind of did. And I got to be completely honest, the podium speech by Deegan, he said that Juju was running his mouth, and I'm like, I thought to myself, I'm like, what did he even say? Like, I was so confused.
I was confused too. What?
Yeah, like, I don't know. But suppose this is from my understanding. Supposedly it was from like the Pole podcast from during the week where he said, I've been dealing with Deegan's antics since like he was 6. I'm like, okay, that's not really running your mouth or anything. That's just kind of, you know, but I mean, it's working for Deegan.
Yeah, I mean, that's not, I wouldn't call that running my mouth. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Deegan doesn't think that he has antics or messes with people, but like, come on. That's like half the brand, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. So, yeah, I thought that was very interesting on the podium. And then even today, so I thought it was hilarious. So Juju actually made a Instagram post today, and it was like,
compared to the first two.
Yeah, you pissed off the bull last week. Juju ran his mouth, so it's time to lock in.
What?
Deegan on the podium. I'll probably put it up on the screen or whatever, but Deegan was on the podium. He was like, yeah, Juju was running his mouth, and then it goes to the Russell Westbrook like meme, like, what?
Yeah.
And then Deegan actually commented on the video, and oh gosh, where is it? And it says, Deegan said, thought you knew my antics since I was 6. Was you laying on the ground one of them?
Listen,
it's honestly so funny, man. It's so funny.
Love him or hate him, I don't know. It's pretty funny. Maybe there's beef. I mean, like, there's definitely beef between Jason Anderson and Hunter Lawrence. Those guys don't like each other.
No,
but,
they don't.
You know, for these guys, I wonder, you know, how much of it is just, I mean, they're both kids, you know, just kind of yapping, going back and forth, vibing.
Honestly, I think it's good for the sport too. I think if you don't have like those rivalries, there's not much to like care for in the sport, right? Obviously, you have your favorite riders and stuff, but if you have a fan base against a fan base, I mean, it just makes everything more exciting. It makes the podium speeches exciting, the press conferences exciting, and I think it's definitely needed. And honestly, I think Deegan's like the perfect person for this because of how big he actually is, like in popularity, social media and stuff. And I think Juju going back and forth with him is even better, especially with like Levi too. Think about how, imagine Levi was on the West Coast too, man. Like that would have been crazy. The back and forth banter between all 3 of them. It would have been nuts. But yeah, I can't believe Deegan and Juju, like Deegan said that in the comments section. I thought that was hilarious.
They're like complete opposites too. Juju's so business and just gets on the podium and it's like, yeah, respect him. Everything's fine. You know, and does not try to get in drama. And anytime that Deegan gets on the podium, I like tell everyone in my house to be quiet so that we can listen, because I know there's going to be some yapping going on.
Yep.
Like I don't know. I like it. I think it's fun going back and forth. And
like going back to the last couple of weeks too, where Deegan wasn't performing. Like you kind of saw that side of him, like, crap, man, I want to say something so bad, but I can't do anything because I'm not winning. As soon as he wins, man, he gets on the podium and starts talking smack. So
instantly.
Yeah, I thought it was funny as hell. And then like you go back to the heat race where Deegan takes him out. And when I say that, I'm not necessarily meaning like he did it on purpose. It was a racing incident.
Yeah, I mean, that was fine. It was clean.
Yeah, like Deegan's back tire slid. Yeah, he probably didn't have to do that. But like also it just like pushed Juju's bike out of the line and kind of went over it. Like it wasn't anything crazy. I even said on Twitter, I was like, it's a racing incident, man. You can't do much about that.
I mean, it was aggressive.
Well, yeah, very aggressive.
But I mean, that's like a standard Justin Barcia pass for like 15th. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for real, dude. Like for real.
You know.
Honestly, I actually really liked how Juju went after it in the main too with him. Like in the first 2 I guess first corner after the start, whole shot line or whatever, that corner after that before the Supercross triple. I really liked how he tried to go in there and make a aggressive pass. And then there's a clip of it on social. I forgot who posted it, but you can see Deegan over the triple and then like them look at each other, and then Deegan in the press is like, yeah, I knew I had to swerve over to stop him from going around me. It was great.
Juju reminds me of Dungey a bit. I feel like he's only going to take what he can get in the race. Like he'll put up a fight, but he's not going to ride over his head. He'll just take the second and just, if he just goes 2-2-2-2-2 the whole season, he'll be fine with that mentally. Like obviously he wants to win, but I feel like the maturity level of he's just going to take wherever he's at. Obviously he's going to try and rip and, try and block and get first place back. But Deegan was ripping and the track was super sketch, and Juju's just kind of taking that second place. And I think Deegan gets a bad start. Juju's in the lead. He'll push to get away. But like, I don't know. He just seems really smart on when he charges, when he's willing to risk things. It's when he's in a position to, win and not get hurt.
Going off of that too, the track and the weather, I think, played a huge factor in Juju trying to push the Deegan, as well as Deegan trying to push that lead out, right? So Deegan got a comfortable lead, but I don't think Juju, as you mentioned, was risking anything with how slick that track was, how sketchy it was. So you got to give it to him. I mean, he might have only got third too, and he would have been fine with that, right? Because of Jordan was ripping towards the end. But that maturity, I think, is going to help not just in the 250 class, but also in the 450 class when he moves up too. So, and honestly, that's kind of how he's got the points lead. Mm-hmm. If you think about it, like A1, solid. Yeah, mm-hmm. At A1 he was solid. He kind of pushed, but he was like not comfortable a little bit. So he's like, all right, I'm just gonna settle. I mean, obviously at San Diego he got around into the lead and dominated that race. And then obviously with the weather and the track being so horrible, he obviously, like you just mentioned, he settled for second, not like didn't want to push the risk. And that track was sketchy.
Yeah, it looked terrifying.
Yeah, it was.
It looked so bad.
Yeah, it was so bad. But we have a really good battle in the 250 class, and I'm excited to see how Juju can bounce back from that second next at Glendale with the Triple Crown being up. Like, how can he battle with Deegan? And with the Triple Crown, best out of 3, Deegan has a bad race. Juju stays consistent, as you mentioned. Juju can win that race.
Low-key, Deegan's going to have to win 2 of the 3 in order to get the overall at Glendale, because I think Juju's going to go like 2-2-3 or 3-2-2 or 2-2-2 or something like he is not going to have a bad race. And so Deegan's going to have to win at least 2 of them, I think, in order to win that. Otherwise, that's just a instant win for Juju.
Yeah. So we're very excited. You know what's even better about it too? We get to see it in person. There. Yes, yeah, sir. It's going to be sick.
Jordan Smith might do pretty good there too, to be honest, because he's been looking good. I almost predicted the red plate switch for 250s, except he threw and wadded himself. I knew he was going to wad himself too. Like at the end of that race, you could just tell he was just going for it, which I respect it. Right on, brother. But the camera panned off of Smith, and in my head, I was like, he's gonna just get cooked in the whoops. And then like 2 seconds later they cut to him just upside down in the whoops, and I looked at my wife and I said, see, I told you, like I knew it. You know
what's crazy too is when we were doing our watch party, I said someone's gonna crash in those whoops if they don't, and it was Jordan Smith, and I was like, oh crap, did not mean to jinx him.
See that clip of Lawrence like literally completely sideways in the whoops, just like skimming sideways? It's insane.
Same thing happened with Chase on the last lap too, or maybe a second to last lap, trying to get around Jason. He was literally sideways, like whipping the whoops. I was like, bro, that is so sketchy. Yeah, you know who did extremely well though in that 450 class? Ken Roczen. Dude, Ken Roczen is so freaking good and consistent. It's insane this year. And you predicted it because he has a red plate now. And that is insane.
I did. It's not that insane. Okay,
dude, I took Chase and Eli had to be off the podium. Like, are you kidding me?
Okay, a couple things. First of all, how's it feel? Comment section. Yeah. Thoughts on that one. Second of all, we said there was going to be weather, and somebody said that we were idiots for thinking that there was going to be weather. Interesting. Anyway, yeah, Kenny's him. And here's the thing that I said last week that I'm going to reiterate today. Kenny is going to win Glendale because he's the GOAT at Glendale. And it's a Triple Crown,
I have stats for you. Because I made a video on this. So in the last 5 years, Kenny's worst placing has been a 5th place at Glendale. Yeah, that's the worst he's ever done in the last 5 years. And he's also won 2 of those. Yep. He won back, I think it was 2021. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's 2021 where it was a Triple Crown and he went 1-1-1. And then most recently, he won last year versus Jet and Jason on the podium, the same guys that were at A2. So
I'm telling you,
he's 2 of 5. Technically, he's 2 of 4 at Glendale because 1 year was COVID year and we didn't have it at race at Glendale.
I think the only person I see beating Kenny is Tomac at Glendale, because Tomac's the Triple Crown god.
That is true. It's very, very true.
And if it wasn't Glendale, I would say Tomac's going to win because it's a Triple Crown. But it's Glendale and Kenny's the go.
Also, another stat for Ken Roczen. He is now tied with Jeremy McGrath for the most seasons with the Red Plate. Insane.
Yeah, he's the go.
Also, another stat. I got stats for days here, dude.
We like Ken Roczen's stats.
So, another stat for Ken Roczen. First time in 10 years that a Suzuki rider in Supercross in the 450 class has held the Red Plate.
Okay, imagine Kenny wins this year. Like,
dude,
just
it's crazy.
You know, like what the plot twist that would be.
Pause.
That would be like, there's so much hype and so much on Chase Sexton, on Eli Tomac and Jet. And I think that some people may say that it's a fluke that he has a Red Plate. I don't think so. I think he's going to win next week, and he's going to have the Red Plate for then 3 weeks in a row. But I don't know. I've just been really, really surprised with Kenny. But the other person I'm maybe even more surprised with this year is Jason Anderson. Okay, San Diego, he was super sick.
Yep, I was just going to say he was super, super sick.
Right, super sick. So, I mean, it seems like everyone's getting sick, so everyone kind of gets a mulligan, right? I don't know the last time that I've seen Ando. He does well at round 1, but then seems to kind of just go down from there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he kind of just fades. He was ripping, yes, like over the weekend. And usually, just like Kenny, I would typically see them maybe rip, and then as the moto goes on, they would fade really bad too. Like they always had some weird fitness thing, or they get tied or arm pump, and neither of them seem to be doing that.
And you know what's crazy too with Jason and Kenny? Out of 3 rounds, out of 3 rounds, they're the only 2 riders to be on the box twice.
Nobody would have ever said that ever going into this year. Like maybe
it's
Kenny,
crazy,
but with all, I love Jason Anderson.
Well, I guess like, Jet's on there too because he got second last week.
Probably my all-time favorite rider, Jason Anderson. Love his style, love his attitude, just love the vibes, right? I would have never said he would have been on the podium twice in the first year.
I would not have predicted that at all either. Maybe top 5?
Yeah,
top 5?
Maybe. If he was top 5 in 2 races out of the first 3, I would have said that's like insane. Huge W for him. Yeah, I'm really excited because I feel like both him and Kenny are like actual title contenders. Kenny is just going to get better the ruddier the tracks get too. Like I feel like that's when Kenny really starts to shine, that real technical stuff.
And Kenny's worst finish this year has been a 4th. Yeah. That's insane. Like that is super I know it's only been 3 rounds, don't get me wrong, but like that's still really good. Go back and look at last year. He did not have a good performance out of the gate. And I mean, Jason now has a 2nd and a 3rd. Get rid of his freaking weird race at San Diego due to sickness and say he gets top 10. I mean, he's right there in the thick of things too.
People may say that it's only 3 rounds in, but also like Kenny's the most consistent guy. That's why he has a Red Plate, right?
Yeah,
like I mean,
it's like crazy.
He's more consistent Jet, more consistent than Eli. It's crazy. I would have never guessed that, but I'm so here for it. Both of those guys, I'm so here for them.
And Jason's also really good at Glendale too, so watch out for him to be back on the podium for Glendale. And then it would be like the best start for both of those guys in a while, I think too. So
when Kenny wins next week, that's going to be 4 different winners in 4 races.
Crazy.
So do we get a 5th at round 5? And who would it be? I'm totally throwing you off here.
Who would it be? I think maybe Jason. It could be Jason.
Right. I would normally, if I was to have guessed at the beginning of this season who, like, if we had 5 different winners, I would have put Hunter in there. Like Hunter and then the other 4 that have won. Or I guess if Kenny wins, he will. But yeah, I think Ando has the best shot.
I think it's...
Or Cooper Webb.
I was just about to say, I think it's either those 2. Cooper Webb had an off race. He might have been still sick, but he would definitely had an off race. But I think it's those 2. Ando, though, I think is more likely because what we saw at A2. him holding off Jet the whole entire heat race. Who's done that? And who's done that in the last 2 years? I don't think anybody has.
Yeah, like
and then-
respect, like really held him off too.
And in the freaking main event, he held him off for 15 minutes. Jet got into the lead, 6 minutes left.
Yeah,
I would say if he's not sick, he's going to be right there in the fight if he can get a start.
Anderson can win. Cooper Webb can win. Theoretically, we could see 6 different winners this season, even if it doesn't happen like, 6 different winners in 6 rounds or whatever. We could have 6 different winners this season. That's insane. That's a lot of different race winners, like a lot of different race winners.
And you got to think about the fluke races too. Like maybe AP gets a race in there and he can win. So maybe be 7. I mean, there's so many different possibilities.
Say, maybe somebody wins at Daytona, but we all
that's unlikely. There's 2 people there. It's Eli or Jet.
Tomac's gonna win Daytona. Never mind.
But no, you're totally right. I mean, the 450 class is super stacked, but it's kind of been unpredictable this year because you don't know what's going to happen in the race because anybody can finish good, right? I mean, and anybody can finish bad too. We saw that this week with Tomac finishing 7th.
If this season continues like this is a season I don't really care who wins if it continued like this. Like I'm an avid, I was not a Jet fan going into this season because I didn't want to see Jet just win, half the races because it's not fun as a spectator. Like if you're like a diehard Jet fan, sure, awesome. I didn't want to see Chase win every race. I wouldn't mind seeing Tomac win every race because he's going out. And honestly, Tomac's the coolest one to watch in my opinion because he just is just raw dogging thing. But other than Tomac winning every race, if the season went like this, I would be cool with kind of whoever coming out on top because it's just been W racing the whole time.
Facts. And like if we can get a 4-way battle for the lead every round, that would be awesome as well. Like obviously A2, the weather was a huge factor with everybody being so close. I'll get that. But like if we can have that every round, that would be insane. Because think about that race. Chase was in 4th and he was 5 seconds back on the lead, but it wasn't really like 5 seconds, right? He was right behind Kenny. I mean, right there with Jason, right there with Jet. And obviously you add Justin Cooper in that start. I mean, which was a crazy start for an LCQ gate pick. Like that was a 5-way battle for a win for 15 minutes, which was insane.
I will say, despite a couple bad starts, I still think Eli Tomac's the best in the class.
Yeah.
And I actually don't think it's even that close. Tomac, if he gets 3 starts, he'd be 3 for 3 right now. And I know like starts are a huge part and like he didn't, so he didn't go 3 for 3. And those were 2 mistakes. But I'm just saying, I think Tomac starts up front in these 3 races. We'd be saying this season would not be nearly as exciting as we're saying it is.
I think too, if just say for A2, if he doesn't have a 20 place start and say he just started 7th, maybe right where Chase was, like 7 or 8, he's going to be right there for the win, like guaranteed. So that start pushed him, especially with how bad the track was, being dead last, trying to push on a slicky ass track. Like that did not help him at all, right?
Did you see the picture of his hole shot? Like the groove in the ground? Oh my
it was
gosh.
so bad.
Yeah,
It was so
buddy
bad.
was spinning. That's for sure.
Yeah, one rider that definitely had me kind of let down for this race, and that was another AP performance. And it kind of freaking sucks, man, because he was ripping in the heat race. He was ripping in the freaking main event because in the main event, he was right behind Chase with DF. Like DF almost made a pass on Chase too, like right before the finish line. And AP was right there. And I'm like, yo, we might have an AP sighting finally. Top 5 guy, top 6 right there. And then he ran into the back of DF and his throttle broke and his throttle cable broke and he DNF'd. So I'm just kind of let down at that performance a little bit. Obviously, we know he has the speed. We saw him in the heat race. We saw him in the main event. Just kind of freaking say I think he's been unlucky the last couple of weeks. That's just kind of what it comes down to. He's just been unlucky.
He made the mistake. I love him. I'm sure, I'm sure he's kicking himself because I don't know what happened, but I don't think he meant to just absolutely, punt Dylan Ferrandis, but he did, and that really sucks because he was looking really good even from practice. A top 5 in practice for AP is like super
So
good. He's
good.
not very fast in practice, right? Like he never is up there. And then and then looked really racy, like really comfortable, and it was his birthday. Like, yeah, that was a really sad one. But
I forgot it was his birthday.
it was.
Damn. What a horrible birthday gift.
That's tough. Yeah,
What
I
a
don't know.
horrible
Like
gift.
he looked really good, and I don't know if it was like just the way the track was forming. You know, I really, speaking of the track, I really liked the rolled whoops. It's not steamrolled, you nerds. Okay, it's not a steamroller. Okay, this isn't 1915. We're not rolling with steam. It's a combustion engine. It's just a roller. All right.
I didn't say anything on social media. It wasn't me.
There's no steam involved. And before anyone comes to me and said that the drum is steamed, it's not. There's water on the drum. Okay, listen, I paid for like 15 years here. Okay, there's water on the drum to keep the asphalt from sticking to the metal, and then the water steams. But the water isn't there to do anything other than keep the asphalt off the drum. Same.
I will
You can
say
also
this.
spray with
So the whoops, I thought personally, were good until the main event because of how the rain happened in the weather.
Yeah. Well, then it was like,
It was just slick everywhere.
yeah.
So you
then it
couldn't
was
really.
like snot, you know. But
And I think the riders were kind of split 50-50 a little bit. You heard some riders say they liked it. And some riders say they didn't like it. I didn't mean to do that. my bad. But yeah, I heard it was kind of split, like back and forth. Personally, I don't think it was a good track to test it on because they knew the weather was going to play a factor. The dirt there is not really that great. I think more of an East Coast track would have been better because it would have been probably a little bit more hard pack for those whoops to work. So I hope they test it again, but I am happy that they are trying different things. A couple of the riders mentioned it too, like the big jumps, the quads in there, and stuff like that. So they're adding stuff.
Seems like they care.
Yeah, maybe we can get rid of the split start because that shit is just
please.
chaos. Just chaos,
so
like
dumb.
crazy. But
So dumb.
yeah, I'm happy that they're trying different things.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was cool. I think the whoops could be just a smidge smaller. But if you're gonna do that, then you add like 2 or 3 more. I know we're stupid and we're only doing 9 or whatever, but if we did like 12 or 13, but they were, I mean, I'm talking like a couple inches smaller, then I feel like the length would be the difficult part and not the girth.
Actually, in the press conference, Jet talked about this and saying that like the guys that are very good at skimming the whoops that have practiced it for years and years and years, I feel he said they don't feel like they have an advantage anymore for practicing all that because if you just have 9 whoops, it's almost as fast to jump 333 it is than blitz. And so and I would assume a lot of other guys want more whoops, maybe 10 to 11, so that combination is a little bit difficult. And I'm here for it. Maybe not like what we had at Anaheim, I think like 3 years ago, where it was like a complete straightaway of whoops.
Yeah.
Like maybe not that many. I mean, I'm here for it.
I'm down.
But as a rider, I don't think they like that as much because there was a lot of carnage on it. But yeah, just like 11, maybe 13. I think probably 11 is the best way to go because then you can't 333 it. But
I'm trying to get it where like the whoop section's so long at the end, they're just like, duh. Like they go into it forthwith, and at the end, they're barely getting out. You know?
Yeah. What about Cole Davies shouting out MX bikes on the podium?
I was playing MX bikes last night. I turned the E-Road completely up. That completely replicated the track that I just rode. I don't know, maybe deposit some money into my MX bikes account, buy some more tracks, something like that.
Bro, I did not expect that
My
at
God.
all. I wish I was recording it because our reaction was crazy, but like I normally turn off my recordings after the race. But I cannot believe that guy went on the podium, talked about MX bikes, and then went into the press conference and then also talked about MX bikes. That's crazy. MX bikes, as someone said on my Twitter feed, they should sponsor Cole Davies. MX bike should.
Bro, MX bikes ain't gonna do. Peboso's not gonna do anything. What do you mean? I've brought.
Hey, we know this, but like I'm just saying.
You know how many tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of copies I've brought to Peboso? He won't even respond to my DMs, you know? Anyway,
Damn.
yeah, that was awesome. I honestly do think I have noticed an uptick in my channel's views over the last couple days. Just saying, maybe Davies did me a solid, you know? And
That's what I'm
shout out
saying.
MX Bikes, and we're just to the moon now, you know? The amount of DMs I got, people asking me for Cole Davies contact info, I'm like, bro, I'm not.
Really? Damn.
Hey man, I'm just trying to
can
get a
you
hold of
slide?
Davies.
Can you slide that over? Can you slide that?
Like, bro, just DM him on Instagram. Like, oh, I will, but he doesn't respond. I'm like, I'm not. Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, but Cole shouting that out was honestly my favorite moment of the whole entire weekend, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, 250 class was awesome. That was just kind of a cool way to wrap it up. Deegan looked great. I will say I was a bit surprised. Deegan was making a lot of mistakes throughout the day, like in practice, and kind of all season has just been sketchier than usual. And it's just interesting, but you know, I'm just surprised, I guess. You know?
Dude, he made one mistake after punting Juju. Punting. On the triple. Dude, he came up so short. I was like, oh my god. It could have been a disaster if he doesn't pull that out. We didn't even talk about this. There was a fight in qualifying. Another favorite moment.
A fight is a little extreme.
Yeah, they were more just like headlocks, and I don't know if any
hugging session.
Yeah, I don't know if any punches were thrown or anything like that. But that is wild. It actually kind of went viral in a little bit. It went on Barstool, so I mean, you can kind of say that. But I didn't expect that. I think I know one of the riders' last name, but I don't want to.
Hey, they ain't racing ever again in AMA. I can tell you that. They're done.
But it was kind of crazy, man. I did not expect to see a fight, so that was kind of wild. But yeah, I think the whole day, honestly, we had a great race. I mean, 250s was really fun, especially in the heat and partially in the main event. And then in the 450, I mean, with the 5-way battle for the lead, dude. I think the whole day was a success. And as you mentioned before, if we can have this every single freaking weekend, it would be the best Supercross season of all time, man. It really would be.
Yeah, I think everyone, if you want that, you just got to keep hoping that Tomac starts suck. I think that's the only way that happens. And Sexton, too. I honestly think Sexton is maybe just as strong as far as speed as Tomac. But if those two get good starts, I don't think Jet is up to par with them right now, based off what I've seen. I mean, again, just yapping, but I don't think Jet is at the same level as those two at the moment. Maybe he is, maybe not the bike. You know what I mean? And
I will say that Chase was sick as well, sick as a dog. This for A2 in a post-race interview with Lewis, shout out to Lewis and Vital, he mentioned that he was in bed from Tuesday to Friday. So until press day, he was in bed.
Have vlogs and go crazy.
I hope we get it. Just him laying on the couch.
But he's gonna be grinding Fortnite.
But yeah. So overall, though, I mean, we had a great weekend. I'm super excited for Glendale. You guys will see us there, so come up and say hi. And
the real question is, how much did Jason Anderson get fined by the AMA for being on the podium?
I saw that Moto meme. That was so funny. That was so freaking funny. Yeah, he probably got fined a lot, to be honest. But there are a couple questions that you guys asked us in our Discord. And the first one we have is from Fresh, and he says, do you think that Juju should have gotten payback on Deegan? And I don't think so. I think it was just, like we mentioned, it's a racing incident. And honestly, I don't think he had the speed to even catch Deegan to make something happen, right? So next question that we have is from Caleb, and he says, what do you think about what Haiden Deegan said about Juju after the race? We've already went over that in the beginning. And then Fresh also asked us, how do you feel about Cole Davies shouting out MX Bikes and so good E-Road? I mean, we said this too. It's freaking awesome and fantastic.
I'm just wondering where he got the idea to crank the E-Road, you know? It could have been my 8-hour E-Road video. You never know.
Never know. And those are also we have one more. It's from Asher, and he says, please tell us about the return of the Brazilian Enzo Lopes. What do you guys think? He did really well in the heat race, but fell in the main event. And honestly, I thought he did pretty good overall. Obviously, if he doesn't crash the main event, he probably gets a top 10.
Yeah.
But I think it's a solid performance for just coming back to Supercross for such a long time. I don't even think he even made a race yet last year.
He's got to be old, right? Like getting older too.
He's getting up there.
Like getting up there, not like old, but yeah, I mean, it was fine. It was fine.
But I did hear that in a post-race interview that he did hurt his knee. He hyperextended it. So hopefully that's not anything serious. And he comes out for Glendale and kind of rips. But yeah, overall, I think his day was pretty good. So, but yeah, though that's our kind of our review for Supercross at A2. It was freaking awesome. Excited to go to Glendale. Excited to see what we can get to watch at Glendale. If you guys enjoy this, make sure you guys hit that like and sub button on the road to 30K. And we'll be back tomorrow with our rider ratings. So make sure you guys stay tuned. So we're out.
If you don't subscribe, you don't want Kawasaki to make a 2-stroke.
Facts.